Procrastination is one of those things that even the most well organized and punctual fall victim to at some point or another. Think about the last time you found yourself watching television or when you really have been doing homework. While common, procrastination can have a detrimental impacts on your life, including your grades. So, what can other people do to overcome procrastination and to avoid stress, anxiety, and poor performance that stems from completing assignments at the last seconds? So, hello everyone, my name is Akila, and today, me with my two friends, two amazing individuals, will be talking about the vaccination of procrastination, aka the ways to overcome our procrastination. So, without further ado, let's us introduce our first individual, amazing individual. Isaac, could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, hello friends who's listening. Thank you, Akila. So my name is Mama Isaac. I'm 20 years old, currently studying mechanical engineering in University of Malaya.
Ooh, mechanical engineering. I got this right this time. Mechanical engineering, not chemical engineering, which is one of the hardest course out there. Engineering is not as walk in the park, and always afraid of that course. Okay, thank you, Isaac. So we have this next amazing individual, Shah. Could you please introduce yourself?
Thanks, Akila, and hi, Isaac. So, my name is Muhammad Shahram Yusof, but you can call me Shah, and I'm currently studying Bachelor of Accountancy, and I'm 22 years old.
Okay, great. We have
Oh, hi Shah.
Shah. Oh yeah, he's a future accountant guy. So this is the man that you have to find. We have problems with our account. So we have okay. Before we move further, I would like to introduce myself as well. My name is Akila. I am currently studying geology, which is the science of Earth. So we have three different individuals with three different backgrounds, and of course we have three different point of view as well. And this will be an amazing podcast for everyone to hear. So before we start on with our vaccination for procrastination, let's start with the main question that I think everyone wants to know, meaning what is procrastination to you guys? Like what is the definition of procrastination? Like your own definition. We don't want it from the books because I know both of you read the books, listen to the YouTubes and stuff, but the we want the definition comes from yourself, like your real self. So I think who wants to start first to give the definition?
Yeah, I can go first.
Yeah, okay.
So I think Shah and Akila have their own like creative way of defining, right?
Yep.
But for me, procrastination is when you don't have any motivation to do
Mm-hmm.
the things you need to do because like the deadline is very far or there is no deadline at all. So there's no motivation, there's no fear lah, of not completing that task. So for me, that's procrastination.
No, I totally agree with you. We don't have that fear of doing our tasks earlier, but I like to do it last minute. I totally can relate to that. So I think I would like to give a definition as well before I we ask Shah. So my definition of procrastination is quite the same to Isaac as well. It's actually the act of delaying or putting off tasks, pausing a task until the last minute or past their deadline, and always regret it at the end of the day because that's always happens to me every single time, and I never got used to it. Just trying my best to not procrastinate, but it
The
just keep on
same.
happening. Okay. How about Shah? What do you think? What is your definition of procrastination?
Yeah, for me, how I define procrastination is like we tend to do last minute things, and you know that you have
Mm-hmm.
to do it at the end. So it's like
Mm-hmm.
I have to submit this assignment at 12 p.m., but you will send it at like 1 minute before, like
Mm-hmm.
11:59. So it's you feel like this your achievement. You try to be the last person to submit. So that's how I define procrastination. Yeah.
Yeah, I can totally
Interesting.
relate to you. Interesting. I actually done the same thing that what Shah did. That yeah, pass your assignment like 1 minute before the deadline, and then you have to beg your lecturer. to let you pass because you didn't manage to pass it on time. I actually did that. It happened to me once, and luckily my lecturer was kind enough to actually accept my assignment, although I cried a little bit. So let's move on with the first step on overcoming procrastination. Since our title is vaccination procrastination, and I think all of us have taken our vaccines, right? So let's start with the let's do it COVID style. The first shot. What is the first shot on the vaccine on overcoming the procrastination? So who wants to start first? Because I don't think I can give a good idea yet. I need to be inspired by the both of you.
I
So
can go
Isaac,
first.
yeah, I think you will have a great point.
Yeah. First of all, like I hope your audience all take vaccines, right? No, and no anti-vaxxers. So, anyways,
Oh.
oh, so anyways, like my first step of overcoming procrastination, I feel like this one is the easiest, by far the easiest thing to do, which is to make the things you want to do near and visible. So, like I
Interesting.
think most of us feel like we procrastinate because we don't have enough motivation, right? So we don't have enough motivation to do the work, right? But like sometimes it is difficult to start, but once you start, it becomes easier. So I think like environment plays a more vital role compared to motivation. So by that I mean like things that are, for example, hidden away are evidently more difficult to do. So this relates to your environment. So for example, like if your guitar is visible and near to you, then you're more likely to play it, right? Compared to if the guitar is hidden in a cabinet, or if you have books on your bedside table, then it becomes easier to read before sleeping.
Yep.
So that's what I mean about environment playing a vital role. So for example, like one example that I use is that I designate zones in my room. So because like our brain associate different areas with like different emotions, different activities. For example, like your
Mm.
study table is for studying, your dinner table is for dinner, right? To enjoy with family. So this is what you need to do. Lah. And I know most of us live in our college. We only have one table to do for everything, for every task, right? We play games, we enjoy movies and study on the same table. So one thing you can do is buy a table lamp and only turn it on when studying. So this like tells your brain once you turn your table lamp, it's time to study. And this is actually backed by a lot of research. So and from my personal experience, it actually works. So I believe that the audience might want to give it a go. Lah. So what do you think, Akila?
What I think that's an amazing point. I never thought that we should have a designated area for each task that we want to do. I always thought that we have that one table, you do every single task in that one particular table. Okay, I think that's what is
Yeah.
the problem with myself as well. I think I need to follow advice. When dining table is for eating, study table is just for studying, and I need to buy a lamp as well because I don't have the lamp. I think that's the main reason why I can't start a task in the beginning. So I think, oh, thank you, Isaac, for such an amazing point. I think everyone should take note. We can actually start yourself by not procrastinating by doing what Isaac just said. Have your own designated area. Make yourself
Good
more
luck. Good luck.
motivated. Good luck. Yes, correct. Good luck, guys. No, I thought not just me, but to all of you. You need to you can start now by today. So
Yeah, but I'm
um
so sorry, but actually I don't agree with Isaac. Not
oh,
partially
okay.
agree, but for me lah, if you want to start
Mm.
doing that, we have to have like discipline and motivation.
Mm.
So when it comes to motivation, but it is not last long lah because sometimes motivation goes up and sometimes it goes down, right?
Yeah, true, true.
So when you have motivation, you do things that you like. But suddenly, if you don't have motivation, you will procrastinate and will not do what Isaac told. So for me, it's all about discipline. If you have the discipline, so trust me, you will do what Isaac say, and the result will be there will no procrastination. So I will like give you like two example about discipline lah in a story form. So the first one will be like if you want to lose weight and you have motivation to do it, but sometimes after a while you don't have motivation, so you stop and you gain weight. So what you should do is you have to discipline yourself. Like you have to do 50 squat in a day, but suddenly you don't have motivation, but you have discipline. So you will do like 10 squat per day, but actually you do squat. So it's all takes. So that's why for me, the discipline is the key to eliminate procrastination. So the second story will be like this. About fun fact about me lah, like what I do, and I don't like to read books, but how I want to change my life and my mindset because reading books is a good for you to increase your knowledge, right? So this come to my second way to overcome procrastination in reading books. So what I would do is I tend to read books one page or two page per day, and suddenly the book finished, and I don't believe myself, but actually the books finished like 1 month after that. So from that, I learned that discipline can take you at the end. So that's how I overcome procrastination. So in conclusion, it's all start with your first step and discipline. How about you, Akila?
Okay, thank you for giving such a great opinion. I think discipline is really a great point as well. It's what we all need in our life actually. With discipline, we can actually become a successful person. I think a lot of amazing individual as well mentioned that discipline is a very huge aspect of their lives that leads them to become the person they are today. And I think what Shah just mentioned just now about try to read at least one pages of book per day is good enough because you actually motivate yourself to do something. You actually try to finish something. So for me, because both of you gave such great point, I think I just want to add up on something, which is besides the both of the great points that you gave, my point is to actually recognize perhaps the onset of your procrastination. Meaning, as you start to, let's say you have a lot of you have make a list of the things that you want to do in your day, and then you pay attention to when your thoughts of procrastination. When you started to have this thought of trying to procrastinate, it start to creep into your mind. You will find yourself thinking that I don't feel like doing this now, and I have time to work on this later. So what I wanted to highlight is when you have that kind of thoughts, what you have to do is you have to not give in to the urge. I mean, you have to push yourself, trying to not listen to those urge, like you don't want to do it later, you want to do it after this because you have time, but try to do it on that moment instead. Because by pushing yourself, it will cause you to, without even you realizing, you finish that one particular task. And I've tried it, I've done it, and I did manage to finish one task without me realizing, and I feel like that's a huge achievement in my life. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Shah's point about discipline and especially about reading books like little by little every day because that's why I usually do. And most of the books I read or I started have finished in that way. So yeah, I think Shah's point is valid. I think we can. I think I want to add For example, like before this, we talk about the definition of procrastination, right? So I think it's like suitable to add to that definition. So I think a suitable question is procrastination a habit? Like for me, procrastination is I would say it is a habit, and because procrastination doesn't occur like one time, right? It occurs like repeatedly. It is a pattern of behavior. So I think procrastination is a habit. So what do you guys think?
Well, I certainly
For me,
think.
yeah.
Oh, you want to start first, Shah? Okay, Shah, you can start first. Let's not argue.
Yeah, okay, okay. I will start. Like uh what Isaac have said that is procrastination is a habit, and for me, yeah, I totally agree with Isaac that procrastination is a habit and we tend to do it unconsciously. So for me, when it come to habit, we can change the habit. So it's come to our own way how we try to change it. And so today, I like to share my experience, and I think it will help you guys, the listener, to overcome this procrastination lah. So it's about how I plan myself to this state and AKA how to be organized person. So the first one, I think I have tried like a small planner in a small book, and surprisingly, it's don't go well with me. So because I've lost the book and it's only like last for 1 to 3 weeks only. So what I do next is I try to put something important near me. Means I have like calendar and I write down all the important dates and what to do in my calendar, and I put it in my table so that I can see it while doing other things lah. So and surprisingly, it's also don't go well with me because it is not conventional and it's not a good practice to do this in this modern world. So as a today and what I've done for like 1 year already and it's sticking with me for a long time. So what I do is how I plan myself by using the Google Calendar. So how I do is by I will sign in all the what to do and reminder in my laptop and in my phone. So I think it's a convenient and easy to use. So I can update the calendar anytime and anywhere. So as I said before, it all comes to your own way to change your habit. So I have tried many things and I hope dear listener you try to find your own way, and maybe you can do journal or planner that has customization. So it's up to you. So how about you, Akila?
I think you already gave a great point. I just wanted to say the same thing as you. You know, because I think a lot of people already recommended it, this step as well. Which is for me like what Shah just said is to actually set reminders on your phones, because we live in the era of technology, right? We can totally use our phone to always remind ourselves, we have to do this next, we have to do this next, or make a schedule out of it. Like just Google Calendar, there's a lot of applications out there that you could use to help you minimize your procrastination. For me, I just want to add some point from what Shah just said. It's just to make a very proper list. Start by creating a to-do list with things that you would like to accomplish. Okay, if necessary, you can put a date next to each item or each task. If there's a deadline that you need to meet. So, since each task that you write, it has a different duration on completing the task. Some tasks might need 2 days, some tasks might need a week. So you have to estimate on how long each task will take to complete, then double the number so that you don't fall into the cognitive trap of underestimating how long each project will take. So this task will be very useful is because you will set the limit yourself, and you will set the certain times that you need to complete. And the most important thing is, the key factor to this is to never underestimate your task completion duration. Meaning, if it takes 2 weeks, you double the time, because procrastination makes you double everything. So that's my point. And since both of us gave a point, I would like to hear Isaac's point of view as well. What will you do, Isaac?
Thank you. Like good points from Shah and Akila. I agree about like Shah. Most like guides on avoiding procrastination, right? On getting things done actually boils down to the usage of a calendar lah. And I also use Google Calendar for most of my tasks. And also Akila, the same as me and also Shah, right? We all use like a to-do list. And maybe I would just like to
Yeah.
add to like Akila's point. So to-do list, like my problem is sometimes the to-do lists are very long. And at the end of the day, you realize that you don't really get to complete all of them, right? You start to, like she said,
Yeah.
like you said, you overestimate or underestimate how much time you need, right? So like what I do is that I put down a something that needs to be done. So one thing that really needs to be done. So if you do that thing that day, then you can call the day productive lah. At least you've done that one thing, which is of utmost importance. And then like, okay, another point maybe that I would like to add is probably like make or how to make or break a habit. So for example, we live our life probably on automatic most of the time. So we wake up, we go to our usual habits, right? We check our phones, we brush our teeth without anyone needing to ask or without any really cognitive effort. So what happens is most of the time, most bad habits come like unconsciously. So what we do or what we can do to actually like be conscious of good and bad habits is to actually write a habit scorecard. So habit scorecard is a scorecard where you write write down all habits from waking up to brushing your teeth, checking your phone to until you sleep at night. So and then you rank those habits whether it's good or bad. For example, like checking your phone maybe not the best thing to do during the morning, right? So you write down there as a bad habit, and then brushing your teeth, like all those are neutral, and maybe studying in the morning is a good habit. So once you do that, then like you can actively decide what habit is bad and is good, and you're aware what goes on in your daily life. And this is actually like have been practiced in the industry. For example, like in Japan, like most accidents, uh, transportation accidents, maybe cars or trains, it actually happens because like you drive or you conduct a train like on automatic. So you're not paying enough attention to what's happening because it's easy enough, right? You do it every day. So what they do in Japan is train conductors will actually point on like traffic lights on the uh, railway, and then they would actually speak aloud what station they're going to, and all of the procedures they will speak aloud. So once they do that, then they become conscious of the things they do. So this actually one of the reasons why Japan has one of the lowest rate of accidents when it comes to trains. So I think yeah, habit scorecard is something you guys can do, the audience. So I think like we can move on.
Yeah, I totally agree with what
Yeah.
Isaac said.
Yeah, me
Yeah,
too. Never thought about habit scorecard before. Actually, I never knew that this kind of method exists. And when you said that the first thing you do in the morning is to look at your phone, and I actually in Malay we call it tersentak. I was like, wow, it hits me so deep. Like never thought that actually a lot of people actually did the same thing as me.
Oh, shock,
So,
shock.
shocked,
But
yeah,
I
so
actually do it
shocked.
still, so don't worry.
Yeah, it's a habit is quite hard to break, right? Because it's something that we do unconsciously every day. So yeah, guys, I
yeah,
think
agree.
we totally need to follow Isaac's and Shah point, because who knows, we might become a great individual by doing the scorecard, and also the Google Calendar. After this, Google Play, I'm thinking about application. So let's move on to
Yeah,
the next part,
actually,
shall we?
actually,
Oh yeah.
Akila, about the
Mm-hmm.
scorecard, actually I have done it before because I've read it in
Seriously?
Atomic books. Yeah, it's
Oh.
Atomic books.
Yeah, same.
Atomics.
It's from that
Yeah.
book,
I had to mix. Oh,
So
what book again?
Atomic Habits.
Oh, by
yeah, Atomic
who?
Habits. Yeah,
It's by James Clear. So the audience can search for it if they're interested.
yeah. Mm-mm.
Both of you have the
So
books?
you can read online actually,
Yeah,
or watch YouTube.
Yeah, it sounds so
it's actually a
Yeah,
really
serious
good
now.
book.
Yeah, I'm totally going to read that book. I will not procrastinate and read that book after this. That's such a good, because both of you give such great point. I'm here like giving such a minimal point, and I was like, you must be inspired by some sort of great book. And then they gave us this title, so I think every listener should go and search for the book and listen and read it, and it will actually change your life. After you guys read the book, did it change your life in every sort of way?
As for me, it's really changed my life, and it's a really good books, and is I can uh, suggest to all the listener to buy that book lah physically, because you can tend to read it many times to like remember what the author said.
Yeah, I think I prefer to buy it as well because when you read it using your iPad or your phone, you won't get that feel. Reading like a real book, holding it in your hands feels so much better. The smell of the book itself. So I think I'm gonna buy it. Thanks for recommending the book, guys. Although I sounded
Sure,
dumb a
sure, sure.
few minutes. Okay.
So I think it's come to the third question. I think it's about,
Oh,
I think all the listener want to know, what is the cause of procrastination. So can
Oh,
I
I
have
want to
like
know.
Akila point of view? Shall we?
okay, sure. Oh, the main cause of procrastination. I think there's a lot of reasons. I've always wondered myself, like, what causes me to become such a procrastinator to the point that I just didn't do my task properly and didn't manage to get the results that I want. So, for me, I think the main cause is fear of failure, fear of getting lost, fear of just not getting what you want at the end of the day. And people often procrastinate because they're afraid of failing at the task that they need to complete. And this fear of failure can promote procrastination a lot in various ways, such as causing people to avoid finishing a task, or by causing them to avoid getting started on the task in the first place. I mean, that was I usually experience because I'm so afraid of failing. I actually avoid getting started on the first place because I was pondering over things so much, like, do I need to do this, do I need to do that, what do I have to do? And I didn't do it even to the last minute. So you can just say as well that how afraid someone is of failing is generally related to how important the task in question is. So that more important tasks are often or associated with higher levels of procrastination, and in cases where fear of failure is the driving cause behind a person's or of individual procrastination. And yeah, because usually when I have a very important task, meaning that let's say that task affect my whole grade, I often procrastinate on it a lot because I don't know where to start. I don't know on which path do I have to follow, on which things do I need to search for. Because being a student ourselves, we tend to study and research a lot. So I always often got lost when it comes to that. So yeah, I think my cause of what causes procrastination is fear of failure, and I think everyone have that fear of failure when it comes to procrastination. So since I would like to know about both of your point of view as well, what's your cause? What do you think actually influence people to procrastinate? Besides my point.
Hmm. I think I can add on Akila. It's not a totally different point, but it actually is related to Akila's point. So Akila, don't blame yourself about the fear. It actually comes from our ancestors. So there's actually an evolutionary reason to procrastination. So I think some of
Oh.
you might have read like evolutionary causes. There we can divide it into three lah. For example, like people during those eras, during olden eras, they like to not they like they have to avoid conflict, and they also focus on short-term goals, and also focus on perfectionism. So what I mean is avoiding conflict, obviously, like during those times basic necessities doesn't come easily. For example, like nowadays, right, you have your food, you have shelter, so you don't have to go out and find it. So, but during those times, people or humans need to focus on that on a daily basis and focus on not dying, on surviving and avoiding conflict like against predators. So that's what they do lah. And also perfectionism. This means like humans, like early humans, what they do to avoid conflict is because they feel like the tools they have, for example, like the tools they have, the axe, are not sharp enough. So they try to avoid predators and just stay in their homes and keep sharpening those tools until it's sharp enough and they're confident enough in it to actually fight off the predators. So that's what I mean by perfectionism actually causes procrastination. And also during those times, early humans only focus on short-term goals. Like what I said, they need to get basic necessities first, right? Every single day, they need to go foraging and hunting just to stay alive. So they don't really have the capacity to focus on like long-term goals like us. But nowadays, it actually relies on people to focus on long-term goals, right? For example, like our education. So that's why it feels a little bit difficult to do that. And that is the evolutionary cause lah. And I think Shah have another point of view. So let's hear it.
Yeah, this time I 100% totally agree with Isaac. We don't blame ourselves, we
Yeah,
blame our ancestor. So for me,
let's go.
so for me,
I was about to say
what is
that.
cause?
Blame our
So for
ancestors,
me, what
not
is
our body
yeah,
like this.
yeah, true. Like for me, I will blame our friends because for me, we have to surround ourselves with like good and hardworking person. Like we have to choose our friends. Like so, it's come to choosing friends. So if you choose a good friends, means you will be like them. So like example that your friend is very hardworking to finish the assignment at early time. So other time you can do another things. So but if you choose a bad one, like the lazy one, so you tend to be lazy like them and you will procrastinate procrastinate in the doing things. So what I want to suggest all the listeners is to choose the right one. So in the future, if you want to start further your studies in the foundation, diploma or degree, you have to choose and surround yourself with good environment. Choose your friends and housemate, and it is important to choose friends. Yeah, that's from me, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree with Shah's point. We need to surround ourselves with positive people, with amazing people, so for us to manifest from them and become amazing as well. And totally agree with Isaac as well. You can't blame yourself 100%. You can totally blame your ancestor as well. The DNA flows in us because that what causes us to have procrastination. But I think to add up as well, um, we can totally change ourselves to become a better person, not just because of our ancestors, because everything will start from us ourselves. So in order for us to become a successful person, we need to change by our own self and try to focus on ourselves and try to surround ourselves, like what Shaf just said, by a lot of amazing people in order for you to become amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, since we're talking about what causes procrastination kan yeah, so I think we can actually move on to our booster shoot for our vaccination for procrastination, right Shah?
Yeah.
So what points, what do you think we can have as our booster shot, or shoot or shot booster shot for our vaccination for procrastination, meaning the one that makes us into a very strong individual. Uh,
So yeah, for me, it's about how you experience the result of procrastination actually. So after you experience the bad result, and we learn from it. So that's how my booster shot, and is and you will apa gain knowledge about what you do lah. So the things is like uh, if I procrastinate in doing my study, and I don't like to do study in exam, so I tend to do study last minute. And actually, I'm pretty confident in myself,
Same,
and
same.
yeah, and and after that, I have like this one story. Actually, I don't get 10 lists in one semester, and is only like 0.01 point more to get the 10 list. So actually, I was frustrated with myself, and from that, I learned that I will not procrastinate in study. So from that story, if you have to study, you have to study early, and if you study early, you will get a better marks rather than procrastinate and risk your life. Is what it was not worth to gamble. So I hope that all listeners today to study smart, and actually to study little by little, and don't last minute study. Actually, it will burden your brain, and it tends to damage your brain lah. So as a student, it's result all the matters to us, and we have to do excellent in exam lah. How about you, Isaac?
I agree with what you said, you know, about studying early. But I think like sometimes we only do that sometimes, right? But never mind, it's normal. And it's also like a good piece of advice to start early. Before I start, I also want to say that like I'm acting on Shah's point, which is to surround myself with great people. So you guys are great people. So yeah.
Ooh, thank you. I feel blessed by hearing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Thanks.
Ok- yeah. Good, good. So let's move on. Like my third point or my third way that I do is to make like something that you need to do attractive. So my booster shot is to make the thing you need to do attractive. So what that means is before that, we need like an introduction. For example, like habits actually have 4 steps. So habits have its cue, its craving, response, and reward. And it like for example, when you do something that you needed to do or you something do something that is beneficial for you, our brain releases a chemical called dopamine. So dopamine it actually strengthens the connection lah, between neurons of those things that are beneficial for you. So it becomes something of a necessity or something of a addiction. So what we want to do when we build habit or we break a habit is to control this chemical, which is dopamine. So actually craving is what drives us to take action, right? So for example, like we crave something, we go and do it. So what we can do to actually make us crave the things we need to do, for example, like studying, is to use what we call temptation building. So temptation building takes advantage of this dopamine chemical by combining what you want to do with something that you already need to do. So for example, what I do is that sometimes I watch Netflix when I work out. So this is like, for example, what I want to do, which is watch Netflix, and what I need to do is working out. So this actually like strengthens the connection lah. It makes you feel good because you work out and then you get that dopamine release by watching Netflix after that. So because of the craving of watching Netflix, you want to work out because you know that after the workout, you have something that is good, which is that Netflix session. So what you can do with, for example, what we all need to do, which is studying for exams, right? So studying, you combine studying with something that you want to do after you study. For example, after you study maybe like 2 hours, you have maybe half an hour or 1 hour of rest, 1 hour of like maybe something you want to do like playing games. That is a good start to building a habit of the things you need to do. So I believe that is something that is easy for the audience to start with. So how about what do you guys think?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. It's like, to have a reward system. Correct me if I'm wrong, but for what you've mentioned is like when we can lessen our procrastination by having a reward system, right? Like after you've done something, you reward yourself with something, or you instead
Yeah.
you already set up a reward, but you only get the reward after you've done that particular task, right?
Yeah, it
So
requires a bit discipline lah. So yeah,
mm, mm.
correct, correct.
I think disciplines are very important. We need that discipline in order for us to achieve our reward at the end of the day. Since both of you gave such a amazing booster shot point for our vaccination procrastination, I think I can actually give last tips for all the procrastinators out there. I would like to have a summary of all the things that we've mentioned to the listeners. So you know fortunately, if you're procrastinated, there's a number of different things that you can do to fight procrastination. Excuse me, and start to get things done on time. So the first thing, from what both three of us have mentioned, is you can do a make a to-do list, which is to help to keep you on track, considering placing a due date next to each item. Like what Shah just said, is to create to set your task in a Google Calendar, or like as it says mentioned, make the scoreboard, and then the next thing you can do is to take baby steps, break down the items on your list into small manageable steps so that your tasks don't seem overwhelming. Just do it little by little. Like what Shah just said, is to have discipline to ensure that you've done the task even a little bit, day by day, hour per hour. And the next one is to recognize the warning signs, and pay attention to any thoughts of procrastination and do your best to resist the urge, like what I mentioned just now. So if you begin to think about procrastinating, force yourself to spend a few minutes working on the task. When you start on something, you will realize that you could finish it at the end of the day. So if you feel like you want to procrastinate, start on it as well. Start on it instead. And the next one is to eliminate distraction. Ask yourself what pulls your attention away the most, whether it's Instagram, Facebook updates, or the local news, or just turn off all those sources of distractions. And if you manage to do that, I assure you, you can lessen your procrastination by a few percent. And last but not least, what Isaac just highlighted just now is to reward yourself, pat yourself on the back. When you finish a task on your to-do list on time, congratulate yourself and reward yourself by indulging in something you find fun. And you will realize that all the things that you've done is rewarding, and you'll feel some sort of different kind of satisfaction in your life. So, yeah, I think all of us gave such great points. So, okay, before we end our podcast for today, we have the last question, guys. The very, very, very last question that is very, very important to all the listeners. Did the three of us procrastinate today? Okay, Isaac, did you procrastinate today?
Yes. Yes. I procrastinated on, I don't know, I procrastinated on breakfast, I guess. I skipped breakfast.
Oh no, do not skip on breakfast. Guys, do not skip on breakfast. But this shows that procrastination always has been with us, even up to the moment we wake up. How about Shah?
Yeah.
Did you procrastinate today?
I think today I still procrastinate
Mm-hmm.
about doing homework and the assignment lah. We are student right, so we have to
Yeah,
procrastinate until the last
same
minute
dude.
because you are more
Same.
wiser, at the end.
Mhm. There's actually sayings that procrastinators tend to be more creative because will find ways to complete their tasks in a in a very different way. So yeah, I think sometimes procrastinating do give you benefits, but only like 0.5%. So before we end our session today, I'm so sad because we have to end our talk. Two of you are such amazing individual. I think the listener enjoyed listening to your points. Do you have any last words, piece of advice to our listener before we move on to our next chapter of life and try to not stop procrastinating? Any last word,
So
Isaac?
yeah, I think I will go first. Like my piece of advice to all the listeners today is, I think you all still procrastinate today because you procrastinate to change. So it's all comes to your first step, and you have to step out of your comfort zone and try to change your life to be a better person.
Yeah. My last words is for the audience, don't beat yourself up if you still procrastinate or if you're still trying to change, right? If you're still trying, then it means that you're taking the first step towards something that is good. And another word is that I would say uh we're only on earth, we're only on this world for a finite amount of time. So go do the things that you want to do. So and don't waste any time.
Oh, such an amazing last word from Isaac and Shah. Shah gave such a philosophical advice, a very, very, abang-abang style in Malay, which is brother-brother style. And Isaac gave, okay, what I conclude from Isaac is, you only live once. You're going to die anyways, so do not waste your time and do whatever you have to do, not to the last minute, but as early as possible. And for me, my last piece of advice is, while procrastination might not be something you can avoid entirely, becoming cognizant of the reasons why you procrastinate and how to overcome those tendencies can actually help. So by implementing a lot of the strategies that we mentioned or your own way, you might find that it is easier to put your nose to the grindstone and get started on those important tasks. And then I would like to end our podcast today. My name is Rakia Nabila, and I'm checking out.
I'm Muhammad Syahri bin Yusof. I'm checking out.
Yeah, I'm Muhammad Isaac, checking out.
Bye, guys. I hope you
Thank you
guys
for
enjoy
listening.
our podcast. Thank you for listening.
All
Bye
right,
bye.
bye.